I caught the virgin bride who ran into the night, and she begged me to keep her forbidden. The night was unusually quiet in the small village. The narrow streets were empty, and a soft wind carried the scent of jasmine from the gardens. The moon shone bright, casting silver light on the rooftops, and every home seemed peaceful and calm. Inside one house, the celebrations of a wedding had barely ended, yet one young woman, Amira, was not in her room. She had disappeared. Amira had never been the type to openly rebel, but tonight something deep inside her refused to follow the plans made for her. For months, her family had prepared her wedding, choosing a husband for her, arranging every detail and expecting her to accept it without question. On paper, everything seemed perfect. The groom came from a respected family, the ceremony was beautiful, and the village buzzed with happiness. But Amira felt trapped. The thought of living a life dictated by others, carrying a secret she could not share, made her heart race and her hands shake. She could not stay. Best. As soon as the last guest left and the music faded, Amira quietly opened her window. The cool night air kissed her cheeks as she climbed out carefully. Her small bundle of belongings was wrapped in a cloth, containing only what she could carry. She moved silently across the rooftops, afraid of waking anyone. Her heart pounded with fear, but her determination was stronger. She would not face the life she had been given without a choice.
Tonight, she would run. Down in the streets, Rashid was returning from visiting a neighbor.
He was known in the village as a kind and trustworthy man, someone people relied on in times of trouble. The night air was fresh, and he enjoyed the peaceful silence after a long day. But as he walked through the main alley, something unusual caught his eye. A figure moved quickly in the shadows, barely noticeable under the silver moonlight.
At first, he thought it might be a thief or some mischievous child.
But as he got closer, he realized it was a young woman. She seemed panicked and exhausted, clutching a bundle tightly to her chest. Rashid's instincts immediately shifted. He knew most of the families in the village, and he recognized the girl. It was Amira, the bride from tonight's wedding. Confused and concerned, he quickened his pace, trying to keep up without startling her. He noticed how small and fragile she looked in the large streets, her veil partially covering her face. Something about her movements told him that she was in genuine distress. Amira did not notice him at first. Her mind was full of fear and worry, not realizing that someone was following her. Every sound made her jump, the rustling of leaves, the clatter of a distant cart, even the echo of her own footsteps. She had to keep moving, or she feared she would be caught and forced back into the life she had tried to escape. Her thoughts raced. What would her family say if they found her gone? What would the villagers think? And most importantly, how could she protect the secret that weighed so heavily on her heart? Rashid followed quietly, careful not to approach too soon. He understood that Amira's actions were unusual, and he sensed that this was more than simple mischief. His mind worked quickly, thinking of all possible reasons a young bride would flee her home in the middle of the night. Was she in danger?
Was someone threatening her? Or was she simply overwhelmed by the sudden responsibilities of marriage?
Bust. Whatever the reason, he knew he had to help, even if she might not want it. After several tense minutes, Rashid caught up with her near the edge of the village. There, where the cobbled streets ended and the fields began, he called her name softly. Amira, wait! His voice carried just enough to reach her without startling her completely. Amira froze, her heart leaping in her chest. She turned slowly, eyes wide with fear. "Who's there?" she whispered. "It's me, Rashid," he replied calmly.
I saw you leaving. Are you all right?"
Amira's eyes filled with panic, and she took a small step back.
No! Please, you don't understand, she said, her voice trembling.
You can't follow me. You can't tell anyone. Rashid took a careful step closer, showing his hands to indicate he meant no harm.
I won't. I just want to make sure you're safe.
Please, tell me what's wrong. Amira looked around nervously. The fields were dark, and the path ahead seemed endless. She could not risk anyone overhearing her. Finally, with a shiver of fear, she lowered her bundle to the ground and sank to her knees. Her veil fell aside, revealing her tear-streaked face. Rasp.
I can't marry him, she whispered, her voice barely audible.
A secret I cannot share. If my family or anyone in the village finds out, it will ruin everything. My life, my family's honor, I just couldn't stay. I had to leave. Bray. Rashid knelt beside her, keeping a respectful distance.
Amira, you don't have to face this alone.
Whatever it is, I will not tell anyone. But you must trust me. Can you tell me what happened? For a long moment, Amira shook her head, unable to speak. The weight of her secret was heavy, and the fear of judgment was stronger than her desire to explain. But Rashid's calm, steady presence gave her a small sense of safety. Slowly, she took a deep breaths. It's about my past, she said finally. A long time ago, there was an engagement I could not keep. My family forced me to break it, and it caused problems. Big problems. If anyone finds out, it could bring shame to my family.
I cannot let that happen. Rashid listened carefully, his expression thoughtful.
He could sense the fear and urgency in her voice. He understood that this was not a simple act of rebellion, but a desperate attempt to protect herself and her loved ones. I understand, he said softly. You've been carrying a heavy burden alone.
But you're not alone now. We'll figure this out together. You have my word. Amira's eyes filled with tears.
You promise? She asked, almost in disbelief. I promise, Rashid replied firmly.
No one will know. I will keep your secret safe.
Disc. Relief washed over Amira like a gentle wave. For the first time in hours, maybe days, she felt a little safe. She leaned back against the cool earth, exhausted from running, and let herself breathe. The moonlight fell on her face, highlighting the fear, the tears, and the courage that had driven her to flee. Rashid sat quietly beside her, not rushing, giving her the space she needed. The silence stretched between them, comfortable yet tense. Breath. Every now and then, distant sounds of the village reminded them that the world was still awake and unaware of the drama that had unfolded. The night seemed endless, but Rashid knew they could not stay here forever. They would need a safe place to rest, to plan, and to think about what to do next.
As they sat together, a quiet understanding formed between them.
Amira realized she could trust someone with her secret. Rashid realized that sometimes protecting someone's life and dignity was more important than following rules or social expectations. The bond between them was not immediate friendship, nor romantic love. It was something deeper, forged in the fire of crisis. Trust, respect, and shared responsibility. The night continued to stretch on, but neither moved immediately. Amira's energy had drained, and Rashid understood that she needed time to recover before making any more decisions. He stayed close, vigilant, ready to act if danger appeared. The village was silent, unaware that in the shadows, two lives had intersected in a moment of urgency, trust, and courage. By the time the first hints of dawn appeared, Amira's breathing had slowed, and her heart had calmed slightly. She looked at Rashid and managed a small, grateful smile. "Thank you for being here," she whispered. Rashid nodded.
We will figure this out. I won't let anything happen to you." And so, under the quiet light of the early morning, Amira and Rashid prepared for what lay ahead.
The night had been long and frightening, but it had also shown them something important. Even in the darkest moments, trust and courage could light the way forward. The early morning light slowly stretched over the village, casting long shadows across the cobblestone streets and golden fields. The world seemed calm, but for Amira the day had already begun in chaos. She sat quietly beside Rashid, her small bundle still clutched tightly, though her hands trembled less now. The fear of the night had not entirely left her, but the presence of someone she could trust brought a tiny relief. Rashid watched her carefully, unsure whether to speak or remain silent. He knew that she had come to him with something heavy on her heart, a secret so burdensome that it had forced her to flee her own wedding. But he also knew that pressuring her could push her further into despair. So, he waited patiently, giving her the space to gather courage. After a long moment, Amira finally spoke, her voice barely louder than a whisper.
I don't know if I should tell anyone,
She said, her gaze fixed on the earth.
If my family knew, if the village knew, it would destroy everything.
Rashid nodded slowly. You don't have to tell them. Not now, not ever, if you don't want to. I just want to understand so I can help you. But Amira drew a shaky breath. Prepared. She had rehearsed this moment in her mind countless times, wondering if anyone would ever understand. Her past had been carefully hidden, locked away behind layers of fear and shame.
But tonight, speaking aloud, she felt some of the weight lift. It's about a promise I made a long time ago, she began.
Before this wedding, before my family chose this path for me, I was engaged to someone else. A long time ago, I thought I could be happy, but things went wrong. My family forced me to break it off.
They said it would bring trouble, that it was forbidden, and now... Now, if anyone finds out, it could ruin my family, ruin me. Rashid listened quietly, letting her words fill the silent air around them.
He could sense the mixture of fear and sorrow in her voice, and he felt a deep respect for her bravery.
To carry such a secret alone, to make a decision as bold as fleeing in the middle of the night, it spoke of a strength that few could understand.
Amira, he said gently, you've been carrying this burden for too long. You shouldn't have to face it alone.
Tell me everything in your own words. I will not judge, and I will not tell anyone.
Breath. Her eyes met his for a brief moment, searching for any sign of doubt, and found only calm assurance. Slowly she began to explain, choosing her words with care. The man I was engaged to, his family and mine had agreed, but I didn't truly know if I loved him.
It wasn't that I disliked him, but my heart was not free to choose. Then something happened, something I couldn't control, and my family forbade me from continuing the engagement.
They said it was dangerous, that it could bring dishonor. So I broke it off. Brace, I thought it was over, that the past was behind me. But tonight, as I was being married to another, I realized I couldn't lie. I couldn't hide anymore. That secret, that forbidden part of my life, it would follow me and I could not let it be exposed. Rashid nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. So you ran because you feared the consequences if anyone discovered this engagement? Yes, she whispered, her voice trembling. Not because I didn't want to marry, but because this secret, it would destroy everything if revealed, and I cannot let that happen.
I love my family. I don't want to hurt them, but I also can't marry knowing my heart is weighed down by a past I cannot erase.
The wind rustled through the fields around them, carrying the faint sound of birds beginning their morning songs. Rashid looked at her, noticing the exhaustion on her face, the way her shoulders slumped with the weight of her fears. He knew that helping her would not be simple. Protecting a secret like this would require care, patience, and discretion. But he also felt a determination rising within him. "You've done nothing wrong, Amira," he said softly. "You're brave. You've chosen to protect yourself and your family at the same time. That's not easy.
I can help you.
We'll figure out what to do next, step by step." Amira's eyes filled with tears again, though this time they were not just of fear, they were tears of relief. "You really mean that?" she asked. "You won't tell anyone?" "I promise," Rashid replied, placing a hand gently on the bundle she had set aside. Breath. "No one will know. Your secret is safe with me. But you must trust me completely. Can you do that?" Amira nodded slowly, feeling the tension in her body ease slightly. "Bro, yes. I trust you." The two of them sat together in silence for a few minutes, the world slowly awakening around them. The village remained unaware of the young bride who had fled her wedding and the secret she carried. Rashid knew that they could not stay there forever. They needed a safe place where she could rest and gather her strength, somewhere away from prying eyes. "Amira," he said finally, breaking the silence, "we should find somewhere safer. You can't stay here in the open, not for long. Do you know anyone who could help us?"
She shook her head. "No one I can risk."
"If anyone knew I was here, if anyone saw me with you, it could be even worse." Rashid thought for a moment. "Then we'll need to be careful.
We'll move quietly, stay out of sight, and take our time. I know a place where we can rest, and no one will find us."
Francis. Amira hesitated, uncertainty flickering across her face. "What if someone sees us?" What if it becomes worse?"
"Then we'll deal with it,"
Rashid said calmly, though he too felt the weight of the uncertainty.
"We'll face it together. I will not let anyone harm you or force you to reveal your secret."
For a moment, Amira allowed herself to believe him. The night's terror, the fear that had driven her to flee, began to feel slightly more manageable. She realized that having someone by her side, someone she could trust, was a relief she had not expected. She felt a small spark of hope, fragile but real, that she might find a way to protect herself and her family without losing her dignity or freedom.
Rashid stood and extended a hand to her. "Come on," he said gently.
"We'll move slowly, step by step. The sooner we find a safe place, the sooner you can rest and think clearly." Amira took his hand, feeling the steadiness of his grip. Together, they moved quietly across the fields, careful to avoid the few early risers in the village. The soft earth beneath their feet muffled their movements, and the rising sun painted the sky with soft shades of pink and orange. Despite the fear that still lingered, the day seemed to hold a promise, a chance for Amira to protect her secret, to regain control over her life, and to find a path forward with Rashid's help. As they walked, Rashid kept a careful eye on their surroundings, alert for any sign of trouble. He asked her simple questions, gently guiding her to speak about her feelings and fears. Amira's voice grew steadier as she talked, recounting memories from her childhood, the weight of family expectations, and the moments that had led her to make this daring choice. Each word she spoke seemed to lighten the burden she carried, even just a little. By mid-morning, they reached the outskirts of the village, where a small grove of trees provided a hidden spot. Rashid suggested they rest there for a while, allowing Amira to regain some strength before moving on. She sank to the ground, grateful for the moment of safety. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, warming her face, and for the first time since fleeing, she felt a sense of peace, temporary, fragile, but real. He knew that challenges lay ahead, but for now their immediate concern was ensuring Amira's safety and helping her process the fear and anxiety that had driven her to run.
He did not push her, did not ask for more than she could give.
Instead, he simply offered his presence, a steady anchor in the storm of her emotions. Hours passed in quiet conversation and reflection. Amira shared more details of her secret engagement, the pressure from her family, and the fear of what might happen if anyone discovered the truth. Rashid listened patiently, offering comfort and reassurance when he could. By the time the sun had risen fully, Amira's heart felt lighter, not entirely free of fear, but strengthened by the knowledge that she was not alone.
Rashid knew that this was only the beginning.
Protecting Amira and her secret would require careful planning and unwavering discretion, but he also knew that she had already shown incredible courage, and that with patience, understanding, and support, they could face whatever challenges awaited them. And so, as the morning light grew stronger, Amira and Rashid prepared to move on from the grove, taking their first steps toward a day that promised uncertainty, but also hope. The bond of trust they had formed in the quiet night would guide them, a reminder that even in the most frightening moments, courage and loyalty could shine like a beacon. The grove where Amira and Rashid had taken refuge was quiet now, the sunlight filtering through the leaves in soft golden beams. The air was warm, carrying the faint smell of grass and earth. For a moment, Amira allowed herself to relax. She leaned back against a tree, feeling the steady support of its trunk behind her, and closed her eyes. She could hear birds singing above, and for the first time since fleeing, the fear in her chest seemed less pressing. Rashid sat beside her, quietly watching the path that led back to the village. He knew that at any moment someone might come searching for her. Though he had promised to protect her secret, he also knew the risk of being discovered was very real. But for now he let her rest, understanding that she needed time to regain her strength before they could continue. After a while, Amira opened her eyes and looked at Rashid.
"I've never told anyone all of this,"
she said softly.
"Not even my closest friends.
I carried it alone because I thought I had to. If anyone had known, it would have caused so much trouble.
My family, my future, everything would have been at risk." Rashid nodded, his expression serious. "You don't have to carry it alone anymore. I am here with you."
Whatever happened in your past, it does not make you wrong or weak. You were forced into a situation you could not control, and now you are doing what you need to protect yourself.
Amira's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were not just of fear, they were also relief.
Thank you,
she whispered, breath. "I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't found me last night. I was so scared. I didn't even know where to go or who to trust." Rashid gave a small, reassuring smile. "You did the right thing by running. Now, we can think clearly. We just need to be careful and plan our next steps." Amira took a deep breath, steadying herself. Braves. She realized that she had to explain everything to Rashid if he was truly going to help her. "There's more you should know," she said.
The engagement I broke off. It wasn't just a simple promise. There were serious consequences.
The family I was engaged to. They were influential, and if they ever found out I ran from another wedding while still carrying that past, it could cause problems. Not just for me, but for my family, too. Rashid listened intently. He had suspected there was more to her secret than she had initially shared, and now the pieces were coming together. I see, he said quietly. So it's not only about protecting yourself. You're also protecting your family and everyone you care about.
Yes, Amira said, nodding. That's why I couldn't stay in the house last night.
I knew that even if I married, the truth would eventually come out. And when it did, it would ruin everything. I couldn't let that happen.
I had to run before it was too late. Rashid remained silent for a moment, thinking carefully.
He understood the weight of her words. She had been trapped between duty, fear, and love. Love not for the man she was forced to marry, but love for her family and the life she wanted to live. It was a difficult position, one that few people could truly understand. You're very brave, Amira, he said finally. Not many people would have had the courage to do what you did, to run, to protect your family, and to face the unknown. It takes a lot of strength.
Amira gave a small, grateful smile.
I don't feel brave, she admitted. I feel scared. I take feels like I'm walking into danger. But I also know I can't go back. Not now. Not ever.
That's why I ran. That's why I came to you.
I didn't know anyone else I could trust. Rashid nodded, understanding completely. Then we will face this together. I will help you protect your secret, and we will make sure you are safe. But we need a plan. We need to think about where you can go, how you can rest, and how we can make sure no one discovers the truth. Amira looked at him, a mixture of hope and fear in her eyes.
I don't even know where to start, she admitted.
I've been hiding for so long, and I've never planned for a moment like this. I only know that I had to escape. Rashid smiled gently. That's okay. We'll start small. First, you need rest. Then we can think about your options. There are ways to protect yourself without putting anyone at risk, but we must be careful. One wrong move and the wrong people could find out about your secret. Amira nodded, feeling the truth of his words. She leaned back against the tree again, closing her eyes. She could feel the tension in her body slowly easing. For the first time since the wedding night, she felt a small measure of safety. She trusted Rashid, and in that trust she found the courage to begin thinking clearly about the future. After a few minutes of silence, Rashid spoke again. Amira, you need to tell me everything about the engagement. Everything you can remember. The more I understand, the better I can help you. She hesitated, then began. It happened when I was very young. My parents arranged an engagement for me with a man from a respected family. At first, I thought it would be fine. I didn't love him, but I didn't hate him either. I believed I could adapt, that I could follow the rules and be happy. But then, circumstances changed. There were disagreements between the families, and something I did, something small but misunderstood, was seen as unacceptable. My family said it was forbidden for me to continue, that it would cause shame. I had no choice but to break off the engagement, though my heart ached at doing it. Rashid listened carefully, noting the pain in her voice. He could see how deeply this past had affected her, how it had shaped her decisions and fears. And now, he said gently, you fear that if anyone discovers this, it will ruin your life again. I can't let that happen. I love my family. I don't want to bring shame or trouble to them, but I also can't live a lie. That's why I ran. That's why I came here. Rashid placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You've done the right thing by coming to me.
We'll find a way to protect you and your secret. But we must be careful.
This isn't something we can rush. One wrong step, and the consequences could be serious. Amira nodded, feeling both the weight of the situation and a renewed sense of hope. She knew that the path ahead would be difficult, but she also knew that with Rashid's help she could face it. Breaths. She had someone she trusted, someone who would not betray her, and that knowledge gave her strength. The two of them remained in the grove for the rest of the morning, speaking quietly and planning their next steps. Rashid suggested they move to a safer location outside the village, somewhere less likely to be discovered. Amira agreed, realizing that staying near the village, even in the grove, was too risky. Breaths. As they prepared to leave, Rashid reminded her to be cautious. We'll move slowly, stay out of sight, and avoid anyone we might encounter. The important thing is to keep your secrets safe, and to keep you safe as well. Amira nodded, her determination growing. She had faced fear before, but this was different. This was not about running from something she didn't understand. This was about protecting herself and those she loved, about standing up against a world that demanded obedience and silence. Together, they set off, moving carefully through the fields and woods beyond the village. Every rustle of leaves and every distant sound made Amira's heart race, but Rashid's steady presence kept her grounded. Step by step, they moved further from the village and closer to safety. Along the way, Rashid encouraged her to speak, to share her thoughts and fears. Amira found herself opening up more than she ever had, describing the life she wished to have, the freedom she longed for, and the hope that she might one day live without fear of her past being discovered. With each word she felt lighter, the burden she had carried for years slowly easing. By late afternoon, they found a small, secluded cottage on the edge of a forest.
It was abandoned, but well kept, providing shelter and privacy. Rashid helped Amira inside, and she finally allowed herself to rest properly.
The walls, though old, offered safety, and the isolation gave her a sense of peace she hadn't felt in months. As she settled in, Amira realized something important. She was not alone. Rashid's presence, his trust, and his willingness to protect her secret gave her hope. For the first time in a long time, she believed that she might be able to face the challenges ahead. The past was still there, heavy and complicated, but with careful steps and courage, she could navigate it. And so, in the quiet of the secluded cottage, Amira allowed herself to dream a little. She imagined a life where she could be free, where secrets could remain safe, and where she could live without fear. The journey ahead was uncertain, but with Rashid by her side, she felt ready to face it. The secluded cottage nestled quietly among the trees, hidden from the eyes of the village. Its old wooden walls and stone foundation gave it a sense of permanence, yet it felt fragile against the vast forest surrounding it. Amira sat by the small window, looking out at the sunlight filtering through the leaves. For the first time since fleeing her wedding, she felt a small measure of peace, but she knew better than to relax completely. Her secret was still heavy, and the fear of being discovered lingered in every shadow. Rashid moved quietly around the cottage, checking the doors and windows. He had been careful since the night before, knowing that even a small mistake could reveal Amira's presence. He had promised to protect her, and he intended to keep that promise at all costs. Yet he also knew that the journey ahead would be difficult. Keeping someone's secret was not as simple as hiding them. It required vigilance, planning, and patience. Amira turned toward him, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and gratitude. "Thank you for bringing me here," she said softly. "Prince, I I feel safe for the first time in so long.
Rashid nodded. You are safe for now.
But we must be careful. We can't stay here too long.
The village may begin to notice that you are missing, and curiosity can be dangerous.
I know. I never imagined I would be running like this. I thought life would be simpler, that I could follow my family's wishes without fear. But now, everything has changed. Rashid understood completely.
Change is difficult, but it can also give us a chance to make better choices. You've already shown courage by escaping.
That courage will help you as we plan our next steps. For the next few hours, they spoke quietly, discussing their options.
Rashid suggested moving further into the forest, finding a temporary hiding place until Amira could decide what to do next. She agreed, realizing that staying in one place for too long would increase the risk of discovery.
Every movement had to be careful, every decision deliberate. As the afternoon progressed, Amira began to feel the weight of her journey.
Her legs ached from walking and her mind was heavy with worry. Rashid noticed her fatigue and insisted she rest while he prepared a small meal from supplies he had brought. The smell of simple bread and fresh water filled the room, comforting in its familiarity. Amira ate slowly, savoring the taste and allowing herself to regain some strength.
After the meal, Rashid suggested they explore the surrounding area. We need to know what's around us, he said.
If we stay here, we should understand the terrain, any nearby paths, and potential dangers. Knowledge will keep us safe.
Amira agreed, though she felt nervous about venturing into the forest.
The shadows seemed longer, and the sounds of birds and rustling leaves felt amplified. Yet she also felt a growing determination. She would not allow fear to control her. She had come this far and she would continue, step by step. Together. They moved through the trees, Rashid leading the way. He pointed out hidden paths, small clearings, and natural shelters they could use if necessary. Amira listened carefully, memorizing the terrain and learning how to move quietly and efficiently. Every step strengthened her resolve and reminded her that she was not helpless. She had a guide, a protector, and most importantly, someone she could trust completely.
As they walked, Rashid began to teach her simple techniques to remain unnoticed.
Walk softly, place your feet carefully, and avoid making sudden movements, he instructed. The forest has ears and eyes. Not literally, of course, but small sounds carry, and even the smallest rustle can reveal our location. Amira followed his instructions closely, amazed at how attentive she had to be. Every leaf underfoot, every snapping twig could be significant. She realized that survival was not only about speed or strength, but about awareness and patience. Each careful step was a lesson in vigilance, a reminder that her secret depended on her ability to stay unseen. As evening approached, they found a small clearing by a stream, where water trickled gently over smooth stones. Rashid suggested they rest there for the night. The sound of the water was soothing, masking other noises, and providing a natural lullaby. Amira washed her face in the cool stream, feeling refreshed despite the long day. She looked at her reflection in the water and saw the determination in her own eyes. She had fled her wedding, carried a heavy secret, and survived an entire night in the dark. She was stronger than she had believed. Rashid set up a small campfire nearby, keeping it low and controlled. The flickering flames illuminated their faces, casting long shadows across the clearing. They sat together in silence for a while, the warmth of the fire providing comfort against the growing chill of the evening. After a few moments, Amira spoke.
Rashid, I don't know what the future holds. I only know that I cannot go back yet. But I
feel hope now. I feel like maybe there is a way to keep my secrets safe and still live my life freely. Rashid smiled.
Hope is powerful, Amira.
It gives us the strength to face uncertainty, to move forward even when the path is unclear. As long as you hold on to it, you can overcome any obstacle. Night fell slowly, the forest growing quiet except for the gentle rustling of leaves and the occasional call of a distant owl. Rashid kept watch, knowing that any noise from the village could reach them if they were not careful. Amira lay down on a blanket, still holding her bundle, feeling safe yet alert. She realized that the journey ahead would not be easy. They would face challenges, perhaps even danger, but together they could endure. In the middle of the night, a sudden noise startled them. A branch snapped nearby, echoing through the silent trees. Amira's heart raced, but Rashid remained calm. He motioned for her to stay low and moved toward the sound quietly. From the shadows, a small fox emerged, sniffing the air. Rashid smiled quietly and returned to Amira, reassuring her that the danger was only an animal. "That scared me," Amira admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I wasn't expecting anything else after last night." Breath. "Fear is natural, especially after what you've experienced. But every moment like this is a chance to learn, to strengthen your courage."
You're doing well.
The rest of the night passed without incident. Amira and Rashid kept the fire low, spoke in whispers, and remained alert. By morning, Amira felt a renewed sense of confidence. She had survived another night in the unknown, navigated the forest carefully, and grown stronger through every step of the journey. As dawn approached, Rashid suggested they continue moving, finding a more permanent, safe place where Amira could rest and plan her next steps without constant fear of being discovered. She agreed, understanding that safety was temporary and vigilance was necessary. On the way, they encountered small obstacles: a fallen tree blocking a path, a narrow stream they had to cross, and uneven terrain that tested their balance. Each challenge reminded Amira of her resilience. She learned to trust her instincts, to rely on Rashid's guidance, and to remain calm under pressure. Every obstacle they overcame strengthened her resolve and deepened the trust between them. By late morning, they found a hidden cave near a hillside, partially concealed by overgrown shrubs and trees. Rashid inspected it carefully, ensuring it was safe and secure. "This could be our temporary home," he said. "It's hidden, dry, and you can rest without fear of being seen." Amira stepped inside, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. The cave was small but comfortable, offering protection from the elements and from prying eyes. She realized that this journey was not just about hiding. It was about discovering her own strength, about learning to navigate a world that often demanded obedience without understanding. As she settled in, Rashid prepared a small meal from their remaining supplies. They ate quietly, the sounds of nature outside providing a calming backdrop. Amira felt a sense of gratitude, not just for her safety, but for Rashid's unwavering support. She had trusted few people in her life, and now she realized the importance of trust and loyalty.
That evening, as they sat by a small fire in the cave, Amira spoke quietly.
"Rashid, I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I feel like I can face it now. With your help, I feel stronger, braver.
I can keep my secret, and I can protect my family."
I feel hope. Rashid smiled, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "And that hope will carry you forward, Amira. No matter what challenges come, as long as you hold on to it, you will find a way through." The night passed peacefully, the cave providing a safe haven. Amira drifted to sleep with a sense of determination, knowing that the journey ahead would be difficult, but that she had the strength and support to face it. She had fled her wedding, protected her secret, and survived the first real test of her courage. And now, with Rashid by her side, she knew that together they could navigate whatever came next. The morning sun broke through the trees, casting long golden beams over the hillside where Amira and Rashid had spent the night. The birds sang softly, the stream nearby bubbled gently, and the air was filled with a quiet sense of renewal. Amira sat outside the cave, breathing deeply, feeling the fresh morning air fill her lungs. The world seemed calm, but she knew that the journey was not yet over. Her secret still weighed heavily, and she had to ensure it remained safe. Rashid moved beside her, carrying a small bundle of supplies. He had already planned their route for the day, knowing that staying in one place for too long could increase the risk of discovery. "We need to keep moving," he said gently. "The village will start asking questions soon. We must find a place where you can rest safely and plan what comes next."
Amira nodded, feeling both fear and determination.
She realized that she had come far since fleeing her wedding the night before. She had survived the darkness, navigated the forest, faced the unknown, and now she had the chance to take control of her life. Rashid had been a steady presence through it all, and his calm guidance had given her the strength she needed. As they walked through the forest, Amira thought about her family. Brace. She loved them deeply, and her heart ached knowing she had to protect them by staying hidden. If anyone discovered her secret, it could bring shame and trouble. But she also knew that she could not return to a life dictated by fear and obligation. She had to find a way to live freely while keeping her past safe. Rashid noticed her thoughtful silence and spoke quietly.
"You're thinking about your family, aren't you?"
Yes. I can't let anyone hurt them.
That's why I ran. That's why I trusted you. I have to protect them, even if it means making sacrifices myself. Rashid smiled gently.
"That's very brave, Amira. But remember, you're not alone."
We will protect your secret together, and we will find a way for you to live your life safely.
Their path led them through narrow trails, over small streams, and across gentle hills. The forest seemed alive, the rustling leaves and distant bird calls forming a quiet symphony. Amira moved carefully, following Rashid's instructions on how to remain unnoticed. She felt a growing sense of confidence with each step. Realized that she was not helpless. She had the ability to navigate this world carefully and protect herself. By midday, they reached the edge of a larger forest where the trees opened into a wide, hidden valley. Rashid surveyed the area, noting the natural shelter provided by rocks and thick vegetation. "This place is ideal," he said. "It's hidden, has water nearby, and no one is likely to find us here. You can rest, and we can plan our next steps in safety." Amira stepped into the valley, her eyes wide with wonder. The place was beautiful, almost magical, with sunlight dancing on the leaves and the sound of a gentle stream nearby. She felt a sense of relief wash over her. For the first time since fleeing her wedding, she allowed herself to believe that she could find safety and peace. Rashid helped her settle near the stream, gathering small branches and stones to build a low, safe shelter. "We'll stay here for a while," he said. "You can rest, and we'll figure out how to protect your secret in the long term. No one will find us here as long as we remain careful." Amira looked at him, feeling a mixture of gratitude and awe. "I don't know how to thank you," she said softly. "You've risked so much to help me. I feel safe because of you."
Rashid shook his head.
"There's no need for thanks. You've trusted me, and that trust is enough. We'll face the rest together. That's what matters." Over the next few days, they made the valley their temporary home. Rashid taught Amira how to gather food, stay hidden, and move quietly through the forest. They built a small shelter from branches and leaves, enough to protect them from rain and sun. Amira practiced moving softly, listening to the sounds of the forest and learning to anticipate danger. Every day, she grew stronger and more confident. But safety in the valley did not mean the absence of worry. Amira still feared what might happen if her secret were discovered. She thought about her family constantly, imagining their reaction if anyone in the village found out about her past engagement. Rashid understood her fear and offered guidance. We must be cautious.
But don't let fear control you. You've already survived so much.
You have the strength to continue. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Rashid and Amira sat by the stream. The fire crackled softly, casting a warm glow on their faces. Amira spoke quietly, her voice filled with determination. Rashid, I've realized something. Running away was not just about escaping.
It was about taking control of my life. I can't live in fear anymore.
I want to protect my secret, yes, but I also want to live freely, make choices, and be strong. Rashid nodded, proud of her courage.
And you will. That strength is already in you.
We've faced danger, navigated uncertainty, and you've proven that you can overcome any challenge. Now it's time to plan the future. Breaths. Amira smiled, feeling a lightness in her heart she hadn't known for months. She had fled her wedding, carried a heavy secret, survived the forest, and found someone she could trust completely. The journey had tested her in ways she could not have imagined, but it had also shown her the power of courage, trust, and hope.
Over the next few days, they carefully explored the surrounding area, ensuring that the valley was safe from intruders.
Rashid taught Amira how to spot signs of people or animals, how to move silently, and how to protect their location. They gathered food from the forest, built a small storage area, and created a routine that allowed them both to feel safe and prepared. One morning as they sat by the stream, Amira turned to Rashid.
I've made a decision, she said firmly.
I want to stay hidden until I can be sure my secret is safe. I want to protect my family, and I want to protect myself. I won't run blindly anymore. I'll act with caution, with thought. And I want you to help me make sure we do this right. Rashid smiled. That's a wise choice. Together we will keep your secret safe, and we will find a way for you to live your life freely. You have the courage, and I will support you every step of the way. Days turned into weeks, and the valley became a sanctuary for Amira. She felt stronger with each passing day, more capable of protecting herself and her secret.
Rashid remained vigilant, always watching the surroundings, always guiding her with patience and care.
The trust between them deepened, not as friendship alone, but as a bond forged through shared struggle, courage, and unwavering loyalty. Finally, one morning, as the sun rose high and the forest glowed with warmth, Amira felt a sense of peace she had not known for a long time. Jay realized that her secret was safe. Her family would not be harmed, and she had found a way to live with courage and dignity. She turned to Rashid, her eyes shining with gratitude. Thank you, she said. I don't know what I would have done without you. You've given me hope, safety, and strength. I will never forget it, Rashid smiled, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder.
You've done this yourself, Amira.
I only guided you. You've proven that courage, determination, and trust can overcome fear and uncertainty. That's what will carry you forward in life. Amira nodded, feeling a sense of completion. The journey that had begun with fear, panic, and uncertainty had led her to safety, trust, and hope. She had fled her wedding, protected her secret and discovered her own strength along the way. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time she felt ready to face it. As they packed up their temporary camp and prepared to leave the valley for a more permanent and safe location, Amira looked back one last time. The trees, the stream, and the small clearing had witnessed her courage and her journey. She had grown stronger, braver, and more determined to live life on her own terms. With Rashid by her side, she stepped forward into the unknown, confident that whatever challenges lay ahead, she could face them. The secret that had once filled her with fear was now a part of her strength, a reminder of the journey she had survived and the courage she had discovered within herself. And so, Amira continued her life with hope, resilience, and a renewed sense of freedom. She had protected her secret, safeguarded her family's honor, and most importantly, learned that courage and trust could light the darkest path. The village would never know what had happened, and her secret would remain safe, a testament to her strength and determination. For Amira, the journey had ended not in fear, but in hope. A hope that she carried with her every step of the way, ready to face whatever life had in store.